Greetings all, this is Nick from Those Hairy Gamers, back for another X-Wing upgrade tech video. I'm joined by Justin. How are you going, dude?
A little bit wired, a little bit shaky.
You had a few too many coffees before, didn't you?
I'm still going on more coffee.
Excellent, no worries, man. You ride that coffee train. And in the meantime, we're going to review another X-Wing card. This was requested by Jackson Parrish. He wanted to know about Bossk and Rage, actually, which we'll get onto in another video. But the Bossk crew card is an interesting one. It's something that hasn't really permeated the meta at all. Okay. I think there are sort of better versions of this card, including Rage, that kind of do the same thing, but better. Okay. Having said that, it does have unique circumstances where it does work synergistically with some builds. I will say that these builds are not amazing, but they are interesting and have potential. If other upgrades come along that make these builds better, maybe they will start to permeate the meta. And it's worth keeping an eye on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So, Bossk reads like this. He costs 2 points, scum only, after you perform an attack that does not hit. If you are not stressed, you must receive 1 stress token. Then assign 1 focus token to your ship and acquire a target lock on the defender. This is very similar to Rage, which is like an EPT version of this. As an action, assign 1 focus token to your ship and receive 2 stress tokens. Until the end of the round, when attacking, you may reroll up to 3 attack dice. So the focus tokens are there, the target lock / rerolls are there on both cards.
Yeah.
Rage is probably a more applicable version of this, but today we're not going to talk about that.
I was going to say, Rage also costs 1 less, but
it's an EPT, so it sits in a different place. Arguably, EPTs are more valuable, although I'd argue that EPTs and crews are, in different situations, are valuable.
And with Bossk, you're getting 1 less stress token.
That's right, but target lock is arguably less useful than 3 rerolls every single attack, because that can happen over multiple attacks. With certain pilots. When Bossk came out, multiple attacks wasn't a huge thing, particularly with Scum, but after Bossk came out, there was the Dengar pilot, who can take 2 attacks during a single round. We have, coming out soon, we have Captain Jostero, which is another pilot that can take 2 attacks in a round, so perhaps Rage will be a good option on him. Bossk doesn't really help us with the multiple attack per round kind of mentality. However, it is worth knowing that in some situations, target locks are actually better than raw rerolls. Target locks give you access to missiles and torpedoes and stuff like that. Rerolls don't. And for that reason, Bossk isn't strictly worse than Rage. He's just different and less applicable overall in currently what we're playing.
Well, let's have a look at some of these builds.
So this is something I was playing around with. This is Boba Fett with Fearlessness, which is a combo that I absolutely love. Not so much now that bombs are a big part of the meta, but it's something that I've played around with for a long time, and for a while I was playing with this combo, which included Bossk. It's a 50-point build, has Fearlessness, Bossk, cluster missiles, Glitterstim, Slave 1, and extra munitions. Now, the logic here is Fearlessness, cluster missiles, and extra munitions is a big combo. Basically, cluster missiles gives you 2 attacks, range 1 to 3 with 3 red dice. It's a missile, you need to spend your target lock to use it. And extra munitions means you get to do this twice. And every time you do this at range 1, point to point, Fearlessness can trigger twice. It's nasty. I've since use this logic on the Skirg Bomber with Fearlessness and cluster missiles. I think that works better, simply because raw numbers are better. Doing this on Boba Fett with extra munitions is rough because it's a hard thing to set up, and Boba Fett can die before you get off both of these attacks. I have had certain games where I've actually managed to get this attack firing off twice, and it's amazing. You can just make ships melt, but you have to get it working, and that's not always so easy. So I don't recommend this build overall, but as you can see, the logic of what I'm going for here is if I'm missing attacks, Bossk is giving me target locks. And I want efficiency and target locks with this build. I need target locks at the right time, every time.
So then you can fire off your cluster missiles, which... I see where you're coming from.
If I'm headhunting aces, I'm probably going to miss an attack somewhere. And I'm getting my target locks and focus tokens on the defense. I mean, Boba Fett's a pilot skill 8, so if he misses an attack, he's probably going to defend for the rest of the round. So getting that focus is also quite valuable. And he's getting rerolls at range 1. This is a brawler list. He's flying to range 1. He's getting those rerolls. So again, focus tokens even more potent when you have rerolls. Because you're getting those high odd chance of rolling the focus or evade twice over.
Yeah.
Mathematically speaking, if you have focus tokens, you want rerolls. So yes, I didn't love this list when I flew it, to be honest. I found the problem with Bossk in this is I didn't miss attacks. Boba Fett has one of the best raw attacks in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He rerolls at range 1, and with stuff like Fearlessness and Cluster Missiles, he shouldn't be missing attacks. I took this on as insurance, and I discovered that the insurance wasn't really that important.
Yeah.
However, I will say that I tested this very much in a vacuum. I tested it in one tournament. I didn't fly against all the things that are possible these days. I didn't fly against Defenders. I didn't fly against Palpacers. And for that reason, I still think this idea has potential.
Yeah.
Just in terms of how it worked then and there, it wasn't great, but I still think this could work. I will say, though, I think 50 points isn't ideal for this. Maybe Bossk on a Scourge with the cluster missiles might be quite good. Scourges tend to miss attacks more because they don't have all the raw, amazing stats that Boba Fett has. So that's something I'm going to play around with. But certainly, this is an example of target locks are important, so I'll take Bossk.
I like that.
I would never put Rage on this list. Yeah. Boba Fett already has rerolls. Boba Fett often takes focus tokens anyway. I mean, Bossk gives him focus tokens anyway. But the beauty of that is you can take a focus token, use it on your attack, and then use it on your defense as well.
Yeah.
And I think demonstrably in this list, Rage is categorically worse than Bossk. And that's something you have to notice. These cards are not strictly a better or worse than each other. They're different.
Yeah.
They tend towards the same goal.
But they go about it in different ways.
That's right. That's why I want to talk about this build. It's not an amazing build, but I still think it's worth talking about because in terms of how we use Bossk, this is a strong way of using him. Okay, so the next application we have for Bossk, putting him on a Hawk. Now, there's a few different mindsets of using this, but you can combo it with the Moldy Crow upgrade.
Yeah.
Which means if you take focus tokens, you retain them, and that gives Bossk a bit more value.
The way we went about it this time, though, was we used the Wired instead.
We used Wired instead, that's right, which means stress tokens are important. If you put a twin laser turret on, say, Payload Godali in this build you see before you, you're going to miss attacks. Twin laser turrets don't always hit, but they usually hit at least one of their attacks, but they often miss. That's why things like Wired and Twin Laser Turret make sense alongside of Bossk. Wired wants stress tokens. Twin Laser Turret doesn't mind missing occasionally. And Bossk wants you to miss. Yeah. So there's a lot of really cool stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Particularly in this build, I put in Vector Thrusters because my whole attitude is, well, I don't want to take target locks or focus tokens as my action because I want to miss.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but I want to miss. Besides, Payload Godali can just steal focus or evade tokens, especially evade tokens. We don't want to worry about focus tokens so much. If we can get an evade token, he's having a good time.
Yeah.
So Vector Thrusters is strong in this, again, because we don't mind missing. I'm making sure all of the cards in this build are synergistic. And for 31 points, it's all right. It's a good control build. It has Twin Laser Turret, so we're getting a bit of damage through, and we have Bossk. So Bossk alongside Wired and alongside Payload Godali's ability makes it a really annoying Hawk. He's not just going to die quickly.
I like it. It's, everything's coming together nicely with this little...
Yeah, it's good synergy. It's not jank. It's good proven synergy, which I quite like. Might not be the best thing you can do for 31 points, but there's certainly nothing else like this. So the last thing I wanted to bring up is actually not a build I came up with. It's actually a build that someone in a local store came up with. When we were looking at Wave 9 and the sort of synergies we can get from Wave 9, IG-88D was a card that was being experimented with heavily.
Yep.
Unfortunately, something we don't see very often these days. I just don't feel like the IG-88 pilot abilities really synergize too well with other ships. But it's something that exists, something which will continue to exist, and maybe one day when a ship happens to have an amazing synergy with an IG-88 ability, it'll be good.
Yeah.
However, in this particular build, we're using the synergy of Bossk. Basically, there's a very common IG-88 build going around, and that's crack shot, fire control systems, heavy laser cannon, glitter stim, title, and auto thrusters. It's amazing. It's just a good, solid list. It has a lot of inbuilt insurance, a lot of firepower, heavy laser cannon, fire control, and the re-triggering cannon shooting is incredible. So, what one of my local players came up with, hey, this Moralo Uval guy never sees play, and rightly so. He is overcosted and doesn't have an EPT slot, but he can shoot a cannon on the YV666 in a 180-degree arc. He can shoot the cannon in the auxiliary arcs of the YV666.
Yeah.
So we put IG88D on him, he suddenly gets the same ability as the IG88B in this list, and he can refire in the 180-degree arc.
Wow. Okay.
Now, the problem is, we don't have fire control systems, so we're not getting the same benefit as IG88B. We're not getting a target lock in between our two attacks. But we can take Bossk. We can take Bossk.
Yeah, okay.
So you see what's going on here. He specifically says when you miss. The best situations with the IG88B refire is when you miss. Fire control systems does not specifically say when you miss, but that's okay, because we're also getting a focus token, and we're also getting a target lock.
Yeah.
The stress token isn't so bad in this. We can pop a glitter stim at the start of the combat phase and say, okay, we already have a stress token. And Bossk specifically only receives a stress token when you don't have one. Yes, that's right. You can do a full stop with the YV666, do a zero maneuver, stay still, take a stress token, and when Bossk pops, you don't get another stress token. The rest of his ability still works.
Yeah.
By the way, this is something that's quite confusing for new players. I will say this now. You receive a stress token if you don't have one, but no matter what, the second part of this text always activates.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear this comment a lot. FFG need better editors because this is vague.
Yeah, like it's not like Magic the Gathering where...
No, where they have really good editors and everything makes perfect sense. Bossk is not a clear card. So for those of you who are confused, that's how it works.
Okay.
Stress if you don't have one, but always the rest of this card. So, and from this point of view, Bossk works really, really well. The rest of the list on Moralo Uval, by the way, is Heavy Laser Cannon, Dengar, IG88D, of course, and Glitter Stim. It's just all really good stuff. Dengar's great because we're getting rerolls. If we get those target locks, okay, great. But we don't need target locks to rely on.
That's good.
Yeah. It's good because we're always getting a focus token, we're always getting a target lock, but our first attack can still be good, which I quite like. Glitter Stim's just fantastic with rerolls. As I've told you, converting focus tokens are amazing with rerolls.
Yeah.
Mathematically speaking, rerolls plus focus converting is incredible. So 2 whole attacks with rerolls and focus converting, you're going to hit, and you're going to hit big quite often.
Yeah.
So the big question here is Moralo Uval demonstrably better than IG88C as a wingman for IG88B? I think probably not.
Okay.
However, this is a strong synergy that's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
It's something that, okay, this might not be permeating the meta right now, but this is a good synergistic build.
Yeah.
The cards are all justified in this build. There's no fluff in this. And Bossk fits into this build. He's championing himself. We don't want Rage in this build. We want Bossk.
Yeah.
Bossk works way better. We don't have EPTs in Moralo anyway, so we can't take Rage. But having said that, I wouldn't take Rage in an IG88 either.
Yeah, you're using what you've got on the ship to its maximum potential.
When we miss an attack, this stuff happens, and that is relevant in these 3 builds.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about. The fact of the matter is Rage is so much more popular at the moment. However, Bossk is not demonstrably worse. He's not strictly worse.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about. This guy is not in the meta. He's not shaking up the top tier lists in Nationals and the Worlds or whatever.
Yeah.
But keep an eye on him, guys. He's not terrible.
Yeah.
He's not terrible.
Well, one day something will come out and all of a sudden you can go, this works perfectly.
Yeah. FFG, actually, I have to say, overall, have been very clever at making old things relevant. No card less than Biggs. Biggs came out in the original set. He's now massive. He's now one of the most played ships.
Yeah.
So when you see things like this, don't just discredit it outright. Say, hey, no, there are actually things we can do with it.
Indeed.
Anyway, guys, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.
Bye.